So yeah, let's see what we've got, and then we'll go from there. And if you want to just take a few, it's like you're ice cold. Like, I don't like to make these things unfair, but well, because I think that biases it. You know what I mean? It's like, did you really do anything, or did the guy just warm up? You know? So just take a few squats. We'll do a couple rounds of that. That's pretty good. Like, I mean, I'm like, I feel like the Tin Man right now myself.
Took a lot of work, so.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is what always happens. Like, you're like, man, if I ever had a client come in and day one squat like that, I'd be like, I just shut up and load them. You know what I mean? So, does anybody know that they're like a lot worse than this too? Like, someone like lurking around here, it's like, I'm a disaster, but I'm not going to say anything. If not, like, I'll work with what I've got here. But, yeah, I mean, generally speaking, if I have somebody that looks like that with a squat, like, that's fine. And I'm going to roll with it, and we're going to train, particularly if it doesn't hurt.
Like a back squat's definitely a lot worse.
You want to grab a barbell and we'll take a look?
Sure.
Like, let's bring it out here. I always want to see what's the worst thing that we can get, and then move from there to be able to demonstrate, like, hey, because a lot of times a barbell back squat's a terrible choice for most people, unless they're a power lifter. That's really the only person that I think that's a necessary choice for. Okay, yep, there we go. And then if you want to turn so people can see the side too. But that's, yeah, okay, we've got something. Yeah, and look, like, if you're a power lifter, that might be great if that's the way that you move the most weight and it's a legal sort of a thing. So, yeah, you can go ahead and put the barbell on the ground. And let me see the body weight squat again so I kind of see what I'm working with that. Okay, I mean, so I would say like step one, like whenever I think about how am I going to change a upper body exercise the easiest way possible, I always play around with the setup of the feet and the legs, okay? And then I say to myself, how am I going to change a lower body exercise? I always play around with the setup of the upper body, okay? And that solves for so many things. So let's just give you a weight that you can hold in front of you, a dumbbell or kettlebell or something like that. We got a dumbbell coming your way. You know, and then you can turn to the side so people can see. And it's like, oh, that's dramatically different looking, okay? What's the problem? You can put it down for a second. What's the problem with the dumbbell or goblet eventually? And they don't make that. It's so fucking heavy, like you're just training your arms at a certain point. So that's where, to me, like, specialty bars become super handy, like the transformer bar, for instance, because I can make the setting so that it's like I'm basically holding it right here. Now, I talked about principles of progression with the question you got me going on. In that, I also have the propulsion arc, too, coming from Bill Hartman, and that's based on, like, the different zones of movement of the arms and the legs. And I always start people in zone 1, which is like an expansion-oriented zone, and that sort of helps me think of the easiest version of an exercise. So zone 1 for arms is between 0 and 60 degrees of flexion of the humerus. And it's expansion, so it's also supination, flexion, and ER. And if I use a goblet position, that solves for that. Same thing, you know, we'll use the barbell, and this time instead of putting it on your back, just hold it in a Zercher position in front of you. Because now we're still using the same tool, and we'll just see what this looks like. And if you want to turn to the sides, people can see that angle as well. And you're like, oh, it's a very different looking thing. And now I would just simply, like, this is a very narrow kind of a wedge here. I might even use plates or something like that so that you can still be at the same, like, distance with your feet. If there's like 5s or something like that, just to be able to start him in more plantar flexion, we'll see what that looks like. Oh, perfect. And we'll again kind of like, I'm a big setup person. Like, I hate actually coaching people. It's just really difficult. Like, I mean, it kind of is though. So we kind of see what that looks like. And then again, like what I was saying, like loading people oftentimes is is really effective. Like just by moving the arms out in front into that zone is very easy from a solution perspective. I mean, you have a better angle at it than I do. I'll take this away again, see what it looks like with nothing, and then we'll see what it looks like with something. It's probably a little subtle difference. Again, I don't have the best angle to see that from. But, you know, sometimes people make these absolute statements like, you know, never load something unless it looks great body weight. Why? What if it looks better loaded? Load it. Like, have less subjective, weird, absolute rules that you abide by and more things that are like, you know, like, again, like the competency checklist. So now is kind of where like I'll take someone and I'll try to reconstruct them through coaching and other things like that, where we'll do a core exercise and I'll give you very specific things. Because to me, like I'm trying to create with him an inhaled position of his pelvis, okay, which basically means that the sacrum counter-nutates, the innominate nutates, and when that happens, the anterior pelvic floor goes into an eccentric orientation. The concentric pelvic floor goes into the posterior pelvic floor goes into a concentric orientation. When that happens, the posterior pelvic floor blocks him and he can't sit back, and the anterior pelvic floor descends and allows him to move downward, okay? That's mechanistically what's happening to allow someone to squat, okay? If they can't squat and they just sit back, the opposite situation is happening with their pelvic floor. And look, like I'm guessing if I measured your infrasternal angle, you're probably wide. And if you're wide, that's telling me that you're someone biased towards compression, which means that you're going to struggle with a squat. So if I can change that sucker and I can alter his, you know, basic skeletal arrangement, it's going to make it a whole lot easier for all of his squats with less coaching and everything else to just go up and down rather than back and forth. So let's choose a drill that I'm guessing here he's going to fit into this mold, but we'll go side lying. I'll give you a little pillow. So if you lay down on your side in the open floor, I'll grab a couple of pads. I want to rearrange his skeleton, feed him a little hamstrings and abs, and then we'll see if everything's better after that. And if anyone knows, if you have a PVC pipe, there's actually a couple of sticks over there. If you wouldn't mind just grabbing me one of those. Basically, I look at someone, I say, and this is the shortcut version. I didn't actually table test them. I didn't do all that kind of stuff. But I'm going to go ahead and guess because I've seen this kind of a guy before. He's a lot like me. He's probably lifted a lot of weights. He's probably good at that. And that probably is going to bias him towards having a little bit more of a compressed skeleton. I think I'll be good with this. So what we're going to do is I'm putting him in the easiest position to manage gravity, check in terms of principle of progression. I'm going to go short levers, so you're going to put your knees right here, bend there's a shorter lever. I'm giving him the easiest position to manage gravity in, which is on the ground. It's easier to lie down than it is to sit, which is easier than to stand, which is easier than to walk, which is easier than to run. I'm going to put his arms into a short lever position. If you wouldn't mind, we're going to hold this like a zercher. I'll hold the stick for you, but I want you to have your right hand with the thumb on the ground. Yeah, if you can get there. I'm going to move this thing. It's going to go right in your elbows. Put your other elbow right into this stick, but we're going to move the arms down right here, and let's get this hand away from you. Like, yeah, there we go. You're going to hate this position, okay? It's not real pleasant, is it? Okay, so I'm going to move your feet to here. I'm going to move your ankles like this into more plantar flexion. Okay, I'll give you heel reference. You're going to just dig back into my leg with your heels. Okay, good. And you feel your hamstrings a little bit. Okay, good. Keep that going. You're just going to pull your pelvis under. Yeah, really nice, just like that. We're going to take 3 breaths. I want you to blow out birthday candles. You just turned 100 years old. Let's everybody hear it. I want the mics to pick it up. Good, keep going. You're 100 years old. There's so many candles, so many candles, so many candles. At the end of your exhale, pause. Tongues on the roof of the mouth. Inhale through the nose. Really nice. We got 2 more. Blow it all out. 100 years old, 100 years old. So many candles. I'm going to help. Good. Tongue on the roof, in through the nose. Really nice. One more. Good, 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 good. It's all got to go. It's all got to go. Pause, tongue on the roof, inhale through the nose. Good. And let's go ahead and we'll just reevaluate these things. You're good. You're done with the drill. Let's go ahead and take a look at the worst one, which is the squat with the bar on the back. And if you don't mind turning to the side, and what do you know? It's a lot more vertical. Okay, so we'll take, yeah, sometimes. Just don't ask me any fucking life advice. Okay, put the bar on the ground. We'll see just body weight. We'll kind of go down the list of like, yep, and turn to the side. And again, like it should be just easier. You know what I mean? We'll keep climbing the ladder backwards in terms of making it easier here. Now, how does it feel too? Is it just like?
Feels good.
Okay.
Feels good. I feel more opened up.
And we'll go elevated heels as our last one. Very nice. So, you know, there's always multiple ways to get after this. Like the more that you kind of understand the anatomy and how to set the person up for success with a core exercise that should open up movement possibilities, makes it a lot easier. But even if I don't have that and I just follow kind of the principles of progression, regression, I can arrive at an exercise that should decrease the wrong way. And like I was sort of saying, if I've got someone that's like, because I got a guy that's really tough with this, I'll do this. So go ahead and we'll go with the easiest one. I'll like make this really an extreme version. Go ahead, goblet with the heels elevated, because this is similar to what I do with that guy. Go ahead and just give me one squat. I'll kind of gauge. Good. And now this is behind you. Like, don't hit the chair with your butt. You got to keep squatting though. Like you still have to get all the way down. Good.
Okay.
Yeah, it's still there, and still don't hit it. There you go. I'm going to coach him because I haven't really coached him yet. So start by when you begin the descent of the squat, find the inside edge of your feet and make your knees go forward. Now, to finish this thing, I need you to bring your knees back towards your chest. But you're going to keep squatting lower. I want your butt to get to your heels, but you're going to get there by bringing your knees towards your body. You feel how that works? Mm-hmm. Now, don't hit the chair on the way up. It's got to go straight up. Good. Forward and then backwards with the knees. Good. There's the bottom. Now go straight up from there. Very nice. You feel the difference? Mm-hmm. There it is. That's how you reach the bottom. So that's one of those ones that I feel like is always missing. It's like there's nothing wrong with knees over toes until you run out. And then you have to actually bring knees back towards the body to finish the full depth. You know, it's a knee dominant exercise. Everything moves as an arc. It's like in the beginning of the squat, the knees move away, and then to finish it, the knees have to come back in towards the middle of the body. Okay? But overall, hopefully you can kind of see like at least a tool that you can use as a checkpoint to like prevent motion that you don't want in a certain area. I like to coach the least I possibly can. I really do. I don't think coaching is a great thing for almost anybody. Building the exercise appropriately, that accomplishes a lot more, and it's usually less aggravating, you know? I mean, I went almost the whole way without having a coach, which is almost always my goal. But I don't know how to get the concept of the knees forward and then back without actually coaching it. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.